Good morning, all of you. Welcome to Ashok IT. So we are here to discuss about DevOps with AWS, right? DevOps with AWS. Now, there are no specific prerequisites to attend this course. Prerequisites, nothing. Just you need to spend your time and you need to concentrate for next 3.5 months. Then you can become DevOps engineer. And coming to this course duration, this course is going to take 3.5 months, and the course is start date. Yesterday we have completed the demo session, just introduction, so we can say officially yesterday the course started. Today is the second session, and the daily class timings as discussed, it will be from 8 a.m. to 9:15 a.m. IST daily. So there is no change in the class timings, and the class mode is online. Class mode is online. Monday to Saturday, the classes will be available. And your trainer, myself, Ashok, I am having 9 years experience in the industry. Currently, I'm working as a technical lead for one of the product-based company. Now, so this duration 3.5 months. Yesterday, first session. Today is the second session. The people who joined today, I have shared the video in the chat box for yesterday's session. You can go through that. There are no prerequisites to attend this course. Anybody can learn the DevOps, whether you are a IT professional, whether you are non-IT background person, no problem. Even if you have some gap also in your career, sir, my BTech completed in the 2016. Am I eligible to get the job in IT? 100%. Everybody can get the job in IT. Anybody can get the job in the IT. So currently, IT industry having lot of openings. So many openings are available in the IT industry. They are not going to check in which year you completed your BTech or MBA or MCA. What is your background? Nothing is required. If you have good subject, then they are ready to give the job with very good package. So you need to become very strong technically, then you are eligible to get the job as a DevOps engineer. Okay, fine. Now coming to course content. So what we are going to learn as part of this course. So as I told you, first we will understand DevOps introduction. DevOps introduction, like what is SDLC, what is waterfall model, what is agile model, waterfall agile DevOps world, what is DevOps, what is DevOps, what is SDLC, what is waterfall, what is agile. That introduction part we are going to understand. From today only, we are going to start this module 1, that is introduction. What is DevOps? What is SDLC? What is waterfall? What is agile? And why DevOps is having more demand? What and why DevOps? Right. Then once the introduction part completed, then we will discuss Linux with shell scripting. Linux operating system is very important. Linux operating system is very important because you have to work with Linux machines only in the company as a DevOps engineer. So Linux also we are going to understand along with shell scripting. Then next one, once this is completed, we will talk about AWS cloud. Almost 15 plus services from AWS we are going to understand as part of our course. Then DevOps tools. DevOps tools, almost 10 plus tools of DevOps we are going to learn, like Git, Maven, Git, Maven. Here the tools Git, Maven, Jenkins, SonarCube, Ansible, Terraform, Docker, Kubernetes, Grafana, Prometheus, ELK stack, etc. So several tools also we are going to learn as part of this course. After that, we will implement projects. Projects implementation we will do with the DevOps and AWS. Then interview preparation will be available, like resume preparation, interview questions, placement assistance, all those things we are going to take care as part of this 6th module. So this course is divided into 6 modules. This course is divided into 6 modules. Devops Introduction. Today we are getting started with this. What is DevOps? We are going to understand today. Linux with shell scripting, AWS cloud, cloud computing. We need to understand how to set up the project infrastructure in the AWS cloud, and the DevOps tools we are going to learn. This is called DevOps Dev tools, or I can say DevOps tools, DevOps tool chain. Right. Next one, projects and interview preparation. So this is course content. There are no prerequisites, so anybody can learn this DevOps course. Are you comfortable with this? Are we? Are you guys comfortable? Yep. Good. Now let's get started. So what is DevOps? So we are getting started with the module 1 of our course. What is DevOps? Guys, so before I'm going to explain my definition for DevOps, can you tell me what is DevOps? You guys came here to learn the DevOps course, right? That means you might have done some research on the DevOps. You might have attended some classes in other institutes. You might have seen some videos in the YouTube regarding DevOps. Can you tell me what is the DevOps? Any idea? Before getting started, can you tell me in your words, what is DevOps? What is your understanding on the DevOps? Please respond, be interactive in the session. Please respond and be interactive in the session. Come on. Yes, right. Guys, here, DevOps is not a technology. DevOps is not a technology. First of all, DevOps is nothing but development plus operations. What is DevOps, guys? DevOps means it is combination of 2 terms. One is development and operations. DevOps means development plus operations. DevOps is a process. DevOps is a process which is used to collaborate development and operations in project. Are you guys clear with my point? DevOps is not a separate technology, guys. DevOps is nothing but DevOps is a process which is used to collaborate development and operations in the software project. In software project development lifecycle. DevOps is the combination of 2 terms. One is development and the second one is operations. DevOps is a process which is used to automate development and operations, or which is used to collaborate development and operations in software project development lifecycle. DevOps, we can call it as a culture. DevOps is a culture which is used to automate operations required for the project. By using by using DevOps culture, we can we can deliver the project. We can deliver the project to client quickly. By using DevOps culture, we can deliver the project to client quickly. So in order to understand what is this DevOps, in order to get the full clarity on the DevOps, first you need to understand software development life cycle. How a software project will be developed. What is the process to develop a software project? Once you understand the software project development life cycle, then we will get the clarity on DevOps. So in the high level, DevOps nothing but development plus operations. DevOps is not a separate technology, guys. It is just one process to operate. It is just one process to automate the operations of our application. DevOps is a process which is used to collaborate development and operations in software project development lifecycle. DevOps is a culture. By using DevOps culture, we can deliver the project to client quickly. By using the DevOps culture, we can deliver the project to client quickly. Now, if you see, for every project, some development team will be available. Developers, nothing but programmers will be available who are going to write the coding as per client requirement. Here, developers will be available. A team will be available. Set of developers will be available. Now, assume that this is my development team. This is my development team. Now, so these people are called as programmers, or we can call it as a developers. I am calling them as development team members. Okay, so now these developers are going to develop the project. These developers are going to develop the project, and these people are going to write the code. These developers are going to develop the project, and these are going to write the code. Now here we will be having another team called operational team, which is responsible to deploy the project, set up the infrastructure, and deploy the project. This is called as IT operations team. Operations team will be available. Development team will be available, and operations team will be available. So what is the duty of this development team? Development team will collect requirements. These people are going to collect requirements, analyze the requirements, analyze requirements of the project. That means what is our project, to whom we are going to develop the project. These developers are going to collect those requirements. These are going to analyze the requirements. These are going to design the project. These people are going to design the project, then develop project, develop project, and test a project. So this is the duty of the developers in the project. Now, client is available. Client want one project. Client is starting one business. Let's assume that client is starting one construction business. For that construction business, client want one website. Okay, so client is a non-technical person. Client don't know Java. Client don't know .NET and Python. Then what this client is doing? Client is going to talk to a company for a project development. In the company, development team will be available. This development team is going to get the requirements from the client. What is the client business and what client is expecting in the project? Okay, so when the client has given the requirements, we need to analyze those requirements. That means, can we develop those requirements given by the client or not? First, we need to collect the requirements, and we need to analyze the requirements. Whatever the requirement is given by the client, can we develop them or not? If a client says that if I click one button, one racket should go, that we can't do. That is not possible. Like this, if a client is giving any requirement, we need to understand, can we do that requirement or not? Can we implement that requirement or not? We need to understand. We need to understand. Are you guys clear with my point? Collect the requirements, analyze the requirements, then designing. Designing nothing but planning how to develop a project. What should be the front end? What should be the back end? How to develop the project, that we need to plan it. We need to plan it. Are you guys able to understand my point? Collecting the requirements and analyzing the requirements, designing the project, developing the project, and whatever the development has done, is that project is working as expected or not? So that we need to test it also. These all are the roles and responsibilities of development team. These are the roles and responsibilities of the development team. Now coming to operational team. Now developing the project, testing the project, and code integration. Developers are going to integrate the code. Developers are going to integrate the code. That means all the developers are writing the code, right? The developers code should be integrated at one place. Code integration should happen at one place. Code integration should happen at one place. So developers currently are working from home. Everybody is in a different location. All the developers code should be integrated at one place. That's where code integration comes into picture. How we will do the code integration? Here I told you one tool that is called GitHub. The GitHub is the platform which is used to integrate the developer's source code. Now let me say that the developer's code is available here. All the developers are daily, they are working on the development. Once their coding is completed, developers are going to store that code in the GitHub. So developers will push the code from their systems to GitHub. GitHub is a central platform where the project source code will be available. Where the project source code will be available. Are you guys clear with my point? So once the development work is completed, can we give the project to the client directly? Now here, client is available. Can I give the Java project to the client directly? Can we ask the client to execute the project? Client know what is Java, or client don't know what is Java? He is our client. He is our client. Now, can I give the project from the GitHub to the client directly? Can I ask the client to execute my project? Can I ask the client to execute my project? Why I can't ask the client to execute the project? Client knows what is Java, or client don't know what is Java. Java is a programming language. Client don't know what is Java. If client knows what is Java, client will not come to our company for project development. Client can develop the project on their own. Clients, if the clients knows Java, clients can develop the projects on their own. Okay. Are you guys clear with my point? Are you guys clear with my point? So now for our project, developers are available. For our project, developers are available. For our project, developers are available. Now developers are going to develop the project. Developers are going to develop the project. Developers are available in multiple locations. Developers are available in multiple locations. Now all the developers code will be integrated. All the developers code will be integrated at one common place, that is called GitHub. That is a code integration platform. We are going to discuss how to work with the GitHub also in the coming classes. We are going to understand how to work with GitHub also in the coming classes. Now for time being, understand that what is the responsibility of the development team and what is the responsibility of operations team in the project. Development team is responsible to collect requirements from the client. What is the client requirement? What client is expecting from us? And analyze those requirements, design the project, develop the project, test that project. Once the project development is completed, whatever the code done by the each developer, that code will be stored into GitHub. GitHub is a repository where we will store our code. So multiple developers will be available for the project. Java developers, let's assume that it is a Java project. Multiple Java developers available in the project. Now this Java developer is in Hyderabad, this developer in Bangalore, this developer in Pune. In 3 locations, our team members are available, work from home. All the developers are doing coding for the project. Once the code is completed, every day, once their job is completed, they are going to store the code into GitHub. GitHub is a repository where the project source code will be stored. Once the code is available in the GitHub, can we directly give the code to client and can we ask the client to execute the project? Can we give the code to the client directly? Can we give the code to the client directly, or we cannot give the code to the client directly? Can we give the code to the client directly, or we should not give the code to the client directly? Can we give the code to the client directly, or we should not give the code to the client directly? We should not give the code to the client directly. What is the problem if we give the code to the client directly? What is the problem if we give the code to the client directly? What is the problem if we give the code to the client directly? Client cannot execute. Client cannot execute that code. Client cannot execute that code because client don't know what is Java. Okay, so now here, once the development is completed, we need to perform some operations on the code. We need to perform some operations on the code. In order to perform the operations on the code, we need operations team in the project. Along with the development team, we need operations team also. What is the duty of this operations team? This operations team set up infrastructure. That means set up machines, set up machines, set up servers, set up database. Now, if I want to run my project, I need a computer. And in order to run the project in the computer, we need a server. Okay, now here we need to have a machine. In that machine, we need to have a server. In the server, we need to set up database, set up the machines, set up the servers, set up the database. That means this is all machines setup, servers setup, database setup. These all are required to run the project. This is called as infrastructure setup. This is called as infrastructure setup. Then next one, take the code. Take a code from GitHub. Take the code from GitHub. Build project. Build project. Package project. Package project. Deploy project. Deploy project. Deliver. Deliver the project. These all are the duties of operations team in our application. Okay, so now here developers are available. Developers are writing the code for the project. Once the developers writing the code, the developers are going to push the code to GitHub repository. Development team is available. Development team is going to write this code. The code will be stored to GitHub repository. From the GitHub repository, the code will go to operations team. Operations team will take the code from the GitHub. Operations team is going to do all these activities. They need to set up the machines. That means the computers which are required to run our project. So to run our application, we need a server. They will set up the server. For our project, one database is required. They need to set up the database also. And once this infrastructure setup is completed, this operations team should take the code from the developers. So developers code is already stored in the GitHub. Operations team will take the code from the GitHub repository. Then they are going to build the project. That is nothing but compiling the project and executing the test cases and packaging the project, deploying the project and deliver the project. To whom they are going to deliver the project? They are going to deliver the project to the client. They are going to deliver the project to the client. Now, client is going to give the requirements here. Client is going to give the requirements here. Developers are going to take the requirements. Developers are going to understand the requirements. Developers are going to write the code, and the code they are going to store into GitHub. That is the repository where the project code will be available. Programs in a project set of programs will be available. All the programs will be available in GitHub repository. All the programs will be available in the GitHub repository. So now here, once the development is completed, we cannot deliver the project to the client directly. We need to perform some operations. In order to perform the operations, we need to have a separate team that is called operations team. What are the roles and responsibilities of the operations team in the project? Operations team is responsible to set up the infrastructure to run our project. We need a computer, we need a server, we need a database. We need to set up the infrastructure. Once the infrastructure setup is completed, that operations team should take the code done by the developers. Can you go to the developer location and can you take the code? No, developers are in the different locations. You no need to talk to the developers. The developer's code will be available in the GitHub. You need to take the code from the GitHub and you need to perform operations on the project. As a DevOps engineer, you are responsible for these activities, guys. Development plus operations, that is called Devops process. Are you getting the clarity? What is the duty of the development team and what is the duty of operations team in the project, in a software development project? So tomorrow, as a DevOps engineer, what you are going to do in the project? Are you going to develop the code? As a DevOps engineer, are you going to develop the code? As a DevOps engineer, are you going to develop the code? So no. As a developer, you are not going to develop the code. Developing will done by the development team. Java development team will be available. Python development team will be available. .NET development team will be available. Development team will be separate. They are responsible for developing the projects. They are called as developers. They are called as programmers. They will take care of all these activities in the project. Whatever the requirements is giving by the client, developers are going to get the requirements from the client. Developers are going to analyze the requirements. Developers are going to design the project. Developers are going to implement that project implementation. Once implementation completed, they are going to test it, that implementation is correct or not. So now, once the implementation is done, the code should be available at one common place. Project is getting developed by one person. Project development will happen with the multiple team members. Development is from one person. Our development team will have multiple members will be available in the team. It may be 10, it may be 20, it may be 30, it may be 50 also. Depends upon the project complexity, the development team size is going to increase. Let's assume that my development is having 3 members. They are in the 3 different locations: Hyderabad, Chennai, Bangalore. Due to COVID, they are doing work from home. So every day they are developing some functionality in the project. Okay, so whatever the code they have done, that code will be available in the GitHub. Every developer will connect with the GitHub. They will store the code into GitHub. GitHub is a repository that is using in the industry to store project code, right? Once the developers completed the development, the code will be stored into GitHub. We cannot give the code to the client directly for executing. Clients don't know what is GitHub. Clients don't know what is Java. Okay, so that is the reason, as the clients don't know the technology, we need a separated team to perform operations for the client. That's where DevOps teams comes into picture. After the project development is completed, operations team is required for the project. What is the duty of the operations team? They need to set up the computers, because our project should run in multiple computers. So we need to take the computers. In that computers, in order to run our project, some server is required, like a Tomcat, WebLogic, WebSphere, JBoss, Glassfish. Like that, there are so many servers are available to run our application. They need to set up the servers. And every application will communicate with the database. We need to set up the database. This is called infrastructure setup. This is called as infrastructure setup. Once the infrastructure is ready to run my project. Now see here, guys, I'm taking a class for you. How I am taking a class? I have purchased a laptop. I have taken internet connection. Wi-Fi is available in my home. I have purchased a laptop. I have taken a Wi-Fi connection. Okay. Now, after that, I have created an account in the Zoom. I have purchased a commercial plan in the Zoom. I have purchased a commercial plan in the Zoom. I have scheduled a meeting. I have prepared a poster. I have sent messages to you saying that Devops class is starting from 9th June in Ashok IT at 8 a.m. This is called my infrastructure setup. So I have a laptop. I have a laptop. I have a table to keep my laptop. I have a Wi-Fi connection. I have a Wi-Fi connection. I have a Zoom account. I have used all these things to conduct this online class. That means I have prepared the environment to teach you the DevOps class in the online. So similarly, If you want to start one restaurant, then what is required? You need to take one room for rent. You need to set up the electricity. You need to set up ACs. You need to set up the tables. You need to set up the chairs. You need to set up the kitchen material. You need to recruit the chefs who can cook the food for you. So that is called infrastructure setup that you need to do if you want to start a restaurant. Are you guys able to understand? Similarly, in order to, suppose for example, we want to start online classes. We have taken a room in the Amirpet. We have recruited telecallers. We have recruited HR. We have recruited digital marketing team. We have recruited manager. So we have done that complete setup to conduct online classes and offline classes in Amirpet. So that is the institute infrastructure we have done. We have taken a room. We have prepared a board for the institute. We have recruited a watchman. We have recruited telecallers, HRs, counselors, administrator, digital marketing, designers. Almost 15 to 20 members, employees are available for our institute. And if any student comes, there is a reception. Reception counselor will be available to explain the details. That is the infrastructure which is available for our Ashok IT to conduct online and offline classes in the Amirpet. Similarly, if you want to start a restaurant, tables, chairs, chef, room, AC, power, current, watchman, security guard, reception, bill collector, cashier, tables, chairs, kitchen saman, so many things are required. So similarly, if you want to deliver a project to the client, we need to have a computer, we need to have a server, we need to have a database. So for every project, the infrastructure is required. This is called infrastructure setup, which is used to run our application. Once the infrastructure setup is completed, as a DevOps AWS engineer, you are responsible to set up the infrastructure to run the project. We need to take the computers, we need to purchase the servers, we need to purchase the database, we need to set up the platform ready to run the project. We need to set up the platform ready to run the project. Once the platform setup, don't worry guys, I will tell you the course is all about how to set up the infrastructure and how to deliver the project to the client. This is what you are going to learn in this course. How to set up a computer to run the project, how to set up a server to deploy the project, how to set up the database required for the project, how to take the code from the GitHub, how to build the project. Build means not development guys, build means a compilation, and packaging the project, then deploying the project, then delivering the project. All these activities you need to perform as a DevOps engineer in the company. In our course also, we are not going to learn this. We are going to learn these things in our course. DevOps course nothing but how to set up the infrastructure, how to deploy the project, and how to deliver the project to the client. These activities we are going to learn. This is called development plus operations. Okay, first client is going to give the requirements. Client journey is going to start from here. Client journey is going to start from here. Then client journey is going to end here. Understand? Are you clear with this? It is a life cycle. It is a life cycle. Client has given some requirements. Client has given some requirements to us. Okay, those requirements we have understood, we have developed, we have tested. Once the testing is completed, then operational people has to do all these activities, and operational people has to deliver the requirements to the client. Development plus operations. Development plus operations. We have delivered some functionality to the client. Then client again asked some enhancement. Currently, client is having a construction business. Now, client want to start the restaurant also. Again, client gave a requirement. We have developed that requirement. We have delivered. After that restaurant business, client want to start one e-commerce business. For e-commerce, we are developing a project. Client want to provide tickets booking facility, online ticket reservation system, movie tickets, bus tickets, train tickets, flight tickets. Client want to start that business. So every time when the client gives the requirement, developers will perform these activities, operations team will perform these activities. Operations team is available, development team is available. Now tell me, when development is doing by one team, operations is doing by another team. There should be some collaboration between the two teams. Are there no need to have a collaboration between the two teams now? In a software project development team is working for the developing the project, operations team is working for delivering the project. So development team is in the different locations, operations team is also available in the different locations. Do we need to have some collaboration between the development and operations? We no need to have the collaboration between development and operations. Can you guys tell me, do we need to have the collaboration between the development and operations? Whatever the functionality, client functionality, which functionality completed by the developers, which functionality should be delivered by the operations team, there should be some communication between the development team and operations team. These two teams should work together. These two teams should work collaboratively. What developers are implementing, which functionality developed by developers, which functionality delivering by the operations team, which functionality developing by the developers, which functionality delivering by the operations team. There should be some communication between the development team and operations team. Then only we can deliver quality project to the client. Then only we can complete our work quickly. We can deliver quality project to the client. We can deliver the project to the client in the faster manner. Developers are doing some functionality. Operations team should know what is developed, what is not developed or not. Yes, project is having n number of requirements. Project is a very big n number of requirements are there. What functionality completed by the developers, what functionality should be delivered by the operations team. There should be some communication between the development team and operations team. To establish the communication between the development team and operations team, DevOps came into picture. To establish the collaboration between the developers and operations team, we are using DevOps culture. Now tell me, DevOps is a technology or DevOps is a culture? Guys, now tell me, DevOps is a technology or DevOps is a culture? DevOps is a technology or DevOps is a culture? DevOps is a culture. We can say that a DevOps is a process. Now, see here. What is DevOps? DevOps means development plus operations. DevOps means development plus operations. DevOps is a process which is used to collaborate development and operations in software project development lifecycle. DevOps is a culture. By using DevOps culture, we can deliver the project to the client quickly with quality. We can deliver project to client quickly with quality. That is the most important thing when we are working in software project. Okay, now see here, let me say this as 1, then this is 2, and this is 3, and this is 4, and this is 5, and this is 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's understand through numbers now. First, client is going to give the requirements. Client is going to give the requirements. Development team and functional team will be available to understand the requirements. Functional team is going to understand the requirement. Functional team will explain the requirements to the development team. Development team is going to do the development. And once the development and testing is completed, once the development, okay, client is giving the requirements, right? So now, once the client has given the requirements, developers are going to perform these activities. They will collect the requirements and they are going to design that. They are going to understand, they are going to design, they are going to develop, they are going to test, and they are going to integrate the code. Where the code integration is happening? Code integration is happening on the GitHub. Once the code integration happened in the GitHub, now first these people are going to, DevOps people are going to set up infrastructure. This is infrastructure setup. Setting up the machines, setting up the servers, setting up the database. That is the infrastructure setup that done by operations team. Once infrastructure setup is completed, then these people are going to perform build activities. Build and deployment activities are going to implement by operations team. So this is a fifth step. Once it is completed, finally the project will be delivered to the client. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This complete process is called as DevOps lifecycle, development plus operations. See the numbers now. Client, he is the business owner. Client is a business owner. Client is giving the requirements. Those requirements will be given to the development team. Development team will analyze, they will design, they will develop, they will test, and they will integrate the code. Code will be available in GitHub. All the developers will keep the code in the GitHub repository, source code repository. Once the code integrated in the repository, operations team is going to start the work. They are going to set up the infrastructure, machines, computers, servers, databases, which are required for our project, network, everything. Machines, servers, database, network, everything will be configured by operations team. Then they will perform build and deployment. They will take the code, they will compile the code, they will package the code, they will deploy the code, they will deliver the project to the client. Development plus operations. So the collaboration between the development and operations is called as DevOps process. In order to establish the collaboration between the development and operations, we are going to use the DevOps culture. We are going to use several tools to establish this communication between development teamwork and operations teamwork. That is called Devops tool chain. Devops tool chain. Are you clear with my point? Are you clear with my point? What is the DevOps? Why we are going for DevOps? Development plus operations. DevOps is a process which is used to collaborate development and operations works, development and operational works in software project development lifecycle, which is called as SDLC. Which is called as SDLC. DevOps is a culture. By using DevOps culture, we can deliver project to client quickly with quality. Now, if you see development team, what is the responsibility of the development team, guys? Can you tell me? What is the responsibility of the development team? Get requirements, collect the requirements, collect requirements. The development team, programmers. Development team is nothing but developers. We can say that as programmers. What is the duty of the programmers? Collect requirements. Then next one, analyze the requirements. Analyze requirements. Planning. I mean to say designing, or I can say planning. And we can say that implementation, coding, development, implementation, testing. Implementation, testing, and then these people are going to do code integration. Development team is responsible for below activities. They are going to collect the requirement. They are going to analyze the requirement. They are going to do the planning. Planning nothing but designing. Planning is also called as designing. Implementation is nothing but coding. Then testing, then code integration. Then what is the duty of operations team, IT support teams, or we can say as operations team? Operations team nothing but support engineers. Operations team is nothing but support team, IT support. Right. What is the duty of the operations team? These people should set up machines, set up network, set up machines, set up network, set up servers, set up database, prepare infrastructure for project execution. Set up infrastructure for project execution. Okay, take the project code, take the project code from repository. Here I'm saying that repository as a GitHub. Take the project code from the repository. We can call it as a GitHub. Compile the project. I can say build project, building project. Building means compilation, guys, not development. Building project build activity. Perform project build. That means compile, compile, package project, jar or war file, deploy the project to server, deploy project to server, deliver project to client, deliver project to client. So these are the duties of operations team, and these are the duties of development team. Development is doing by one team, development is doing by one team, and operations are doing by another team, and operations are doing by another team. Development is doing by one team, and operations are doing by another team. There should be collaboration between development team and operations team, development team and operations team, to deliver project to client quickly with quality. That's where that's where DevOps culture came into market. That's where DevOps culture came into market. Are you guys able to understand? Are you guys able to understand why we are going for the DevOps? Are you going to understand? Are you able to understand my points, guys? Are you able to understand my point? What is this DevOps and why this DevOps came? DevOps is a culture. DevOps is a culture. That is a process which is used to establish the collaboration between the development and operation. For example, if there is no collaboration, then what is the problem? If the developers and operations team don't have collaboration, then what is the problem? Development is doing by one team, operations are doing by another team. They should know what each team is doing. Suppose, for example, developers don't know what operations team is doing, and operations team don't know what the developers are doing. Then what is the problem? Can you tell me? Developers don't know what operations team is doing, and operations team don't know what the developers are doing. Then what is the problem? Then what is the problem? Can you tell me? Can you tell me what is the problem? Guys, come on. If there is no collaboration between the development and operations, communication gap will happen. Developers don't know which functionality is delivering to the client. Operations team don't know what development is happening. There will be a communication gap and project delivery will become slow. If there is no communication between the development team and operations team, then project delivery will become slow and miscommunication will happen. We don't know what client is asking and we don't know what we are delivering. So miscommunication will happen and project delivery will not happen properly, and client will lose his business. Client will lose his business. If there is no communication, if there is no if there is no communication between if there is no communication between development and operations teams, then project delivery will become slow. Then project delivery will become slow. Project delivery will become slow and client will lose his business. Client will lose his business. Always we need to be early bird in the market. We need to deliver the project to the market quickly. If you want to grab the market, we need to deliver the project functionality to the market quickly. Always we need to be first in the market. If you are first in the market, then only people will come to your business. Then only people will come to your business. If you are slow in the project delivery, if you are slow in the project delivery, then if you are slow in the project delivery, then what will happen? If you are slow in the project delivery, then what will happen? If you are slow in the project delivery, then what will happen? Client will lose the business. Client will lose the business. Always we need to be quick in the market. Always we need to be quick in the market to deliver the projects. Always we need to be quick in the market to deliver the projects. Guys, are you clear with my point? Are you clear with my point? Come on. Right? Development plus operations. The collaboration between the development and operations is called as DevOps. Good. So now you know what are the roles of development team, what are the roles and responsibilities of development team, and what are the roles and responsibilities of operations team. Are you clear with my point? The roles and responsibilities of the development team and the roles and responsibilities of operations team. Right. Yeah. Quickly. So tell me, what is DevOps? Quickly tell me what is DevOps now. Now, do you need to have coding knowledge to learn the DevOps? Do you need to have the coding knowledge to learn the DevOps? Programming knowledge is required to learn the DevOps, or programming knowledge is not required to learn the DevOps? If you have the programming knowledge, it is an advantage only. If you have the programming knowledge, it is advantage only. But is it mandatory to know the programming? What are the roles and responsibilities? You need to set up the infrastructure. You need to perform the project build and deployment. You need to set up the infrastructure. You need to perform the project build and deployment. Got my point? Programming knowledge is not required. If you have the programming knowledge, that is good. That is good. If you don't have the programming knowledge also, no problem. You can learn this. Little bit of scripting is required because we are going to here see infrastructure setup and project deployment, build and deployment. This is infra setup. This is called as infrastructure setup, and this is build plus deployment activity. Build plus deploy. Build plus deploy. Infrastructure setup we are going to do, and build and deployment activities we are going to do for our project. Those are called as operations required for the project. You can do these activities manually. Manually, you can set up the infrastructure. Manually, you can perform the build and deployment activity. Instead of doing these activities manually, we can automate these works by using scripting. Little bit of scripting knowledge is required because whatever the work that we need to perform as a operational engineer, instead of doing these activities manually, we can automate these works. Whatever the activities we are having, we can automate these works. In order to automate these works, we are going to use scripting. Programming is different, scripting is different. I will tell you. In the Linux shell scripting, I will tell you what is the difference between the programming and scripting, and where we are going to use the scripting in our operational works as a DevOps engineer. So as a DevOps engineer, you are going to do infrastructure setup and you are going to do build and deployment. Infra setup you need to do, and build and deployments you need to do. To do the infrastructure setup and to do the build and deployment, we are going to do the scripting to automate that work. Scripting knowledge is required, not the programming. Are you clear with this one? Why we need to have a knowledge on scripting? Are you clear with my point? Why we need to have knowledge on scripting now? Where we, as a DevOps engineer, where we will use scripting? As a DevOps engineer, where we are going to use scripting? Can you tell me? As a DevOps engineer, where we are going to use scripting? Why we will use scripting? Why we are using scripting as a DevOps engineer? Yeah. So as a DevOps engineer, what is your duty? Infrastructure setup, and build and deployment activities. Whatever the work that we do manually, we can automate that work by using scripting. Whatever the work we do manually, we can automate that work by using scripting. So as part of Linux, we are going to understand that a shell scripting concept. I'm going to teach you Linux operating system along with the shell scripting. So if you see our course content, you will understand what we are going to learn. So today we discussed what is the DevOps. So tomorrow we are going to understand SDLC, then waterfall and agile methodology. Once this introduction part is completed, then we'll start with Linux, how to work with Linux OS, because here, as I told you, infrastructure setup that we are going to do on the Linux only. Setting up the servers, setting up the computers, setting up the databases, all these activities we are going to do on the Linux. So that's why you need to know the Linux operating system. The build and deployment will happen on the Linux machine. Infrastructure setup also will happen on the Linux machine only. So as a operational engineer, you need to be strong in the Linux operating system. Now, okay, we will learn the Linux. Then why we need to learn the shell scripting? This scripting is used to avoid manual work. So instead of you are setting up the infrastructure, instead of you are performing the build and deployment manually, we can automate infra setup, build deployment activities by writing some scripts, automation. To do the automation, we are going for this scripting. So we are going to understand. And here we are going to learn AWS cloud. Why we are learning AWS cloud? Nowadays, companies are not interested to purchase the computers, servers, databases. I don't have that much money to purchase the computers, to purchase the servers, to purchase the databases. I will take the computers, servers, database, network, everything for rent. AWS will provide me infrastructure for rent. AWS will provide me infrastructure. I can take the infrastructure, whatever the infra setup I want to do. I don't want to purchase the computers. I don't want to purchase the servers. I don't want to purchase the database. I want to save my money. I want to save my money. So I will take the infrastructure for rent. Who will provide the infrastructure for rent? AWS. AWS cloud computing. We will understand what is that cloud computing. Okay. So now here, to do the infrastructure setup, I am going to use AWS. And once I have AWS cloud account, I can do this setup on the AWS. Now, this infrastructure setup I can do manually, or I can do with automation. To do with automation, we need to know the scripting. Where this infrastructure setup will happen? In the Linux operating system. Manually you can do, or with automation also you can do. Manually also you can do, with automation also you can do. With automation also we can do. Are you clear with my point? Now, once this Linux, we are clear with Linux, now we can do the infrastructure setup by using scripting. Then in order to perform this build and deployment activities, we are going to use Devops tools. GitHub, where the code will be available, Maven for compiling the project, Jenkins for deploying the project, SonarQube for code review, Ansible configuration, Terraform infrastructure as a code, Docker containerization, Kubernetes orchestration, ELK log monitoring. All these tools we are going to learn as DevOps tool chain these tools we are learning to automate build and deployment activities. AWS will help you here. DevOps will help you here. By using AWS and DevOps, we are going to automate operations of our project. Where we are going to set up the infrastructure? In the Linux. If you want to set up the infrastructure manually, then scripting is not required. But nowadays, companies are asking to set up the infrastructure with automation. For that, we need to have the scripting. Now, do you understand why we are learning Linux, shell scripting, AWS, DevOps tools? There is a reason. So what is your duty as a DevOps engineer? As a DevOps engineer, you need to set up the infrastructure. Where you will set up the infrastructure? Companies are going to purchase the infrastructure, or companies want to use infrastructure for temporary basis and rental basis. Companies want to use the infrastructure on the rental basis. Who will provide you infrastructure for rent? AWS will provide you infrastructure for rent. Okay, so that infrastructure we are going to set up on which machines? Are we going to use Windows? No, the infrastructure we are going to set up on the Linux machines in the company. That's why we need to know the Linux. On the Linux machine, infrastructure you want to set up manually, or infrastructure we want to set infrastructure setup we need to automate. Infrastructure setup we need to automate on the Linux machines. For that we are going to learn shell scripting. That infrastructure we are going to set up by using AWS cloud. So AWS is going to help you in this area. Fourth step is AWS for you in the company. Infrastructure setup. Fifth step, DevOps, build plus deploy. These are the operations, build and deployment activities you need to perform. What is the meaning of build and deploy? Take the code from the GitHub, compile the project, package the project, deploy the project, deliver the project. Fifth step, the points are called as build and deployment points. So to perform this build and deployment, we are going to use these DevOps tools. We are going to learn 10 plus tools in the DevOps here. So we are going to learn the Linux. First, we are learning introduction for DevOps. What is the development lifecycle, waterfall methodology, agile methodology. Then we are going to learn the Linux and shell scripting. Then we are going to learn the AWS cloud to set up the infrastructure on the Linux machines. Then we are going to learn the DevOps to perform build and deployment activities. Once we have learned all these concepts, we will implement these operations for some real-time projects. I'm going to teach you 3 to 4 projects here so that you will get the practical knowledge how to perform operations on the real projects, Java based project, Python based project, Node.js based project. We are going to take several projects. Once all these things are completed practically, then interview preparation will be available for you. How to prepare a resume as a DevOps engineer, what are the questions they are going to ask you, how to attend the interviews, tips and tricks and placement assistance also we are going to provide. Now, are you able to understand the course content? We are going to learn the course in the same order. We are going to learn this course in the same order. Clear, guys? First, introduction. Today, just I explained you what is DevOps. Still, we are going to conduct another 3 to 4 classes for the introduction only. You need to get the full clarity, how the project development will happen, how the project operations will happen. Once you got the clarity, these are the rock solid basics that you need to understand to become a DevOps engineer. First of all, you need to know what is DevOps, why DevOps, where DevOps is using, then Linux shell scripting, then cloud computing, then DevOps, then projects, then interview. Are you comfortable? सब लोग समझ में आ रहा है? Take a screenshot of this diagram. Take a screenshot of this diagram. Development plus operations, nothing but DevOps. Take a screenshot in your mobile so that you can see that later. Completed, guys? Yeah. So these notes I will update, sir. I will send you in the email. I will send you these notes in the email, and I will share this class video also so that you can revise once again. Thank you. We'll meet again tomorrow at the same time, 8 a.m. to 9:15 a.m. Tomorrow we are going to understand software development lifecycle, how a project development is going to happen in the companies, that we are going to discuss in the tomorrow session. What is software development lifecycle, that we will discuss in the tomorrow. You can join the class with the same Zoom link tomorrow at 8 a.m. So if you are not receiving the email from us, you need to register with your correct email ID in the Zoom. If you register with the correct mail ID, then you will get a mail from Ashok IT admin team with the class notes and class video. Thank you.